This is your host, E.I. Smith, and I am sitting here in front of the North Dade Public Library and the Metropolitan Dade County Aventura Fire Station. I'm at a bus stop, just getting some fresh air. I tend to do that from time to time here in ever sunny, ever warm, ever breezy South Florida. It's about midnight right now, and I figured I would come here to this location. I'm at the bus stop right in front of the library and the fire station and Aventura Mall, which is a beautiful establishment. It's just off in the distance. I figured I'd come out here and say a few words about gang-stalking and say a few words about outlets, because that's important. From time to time, when shocking things are exposed or revealed, when people see it for the first time, their first reaction is to rationalize it in their own minds. Why is this happening? When did it start? What initiated it? What could this person have done to bring this upon themselves? What has he done to remedy the situation? And where do we go from here? Well, there are answers to all of these things in the case of gang stalking, which is something that is difficult for people to readily grasp and readily understand. Some people wouldn't accept it, even if they saw proof, because of how shocking it is. Now, what I'm going to do is, and I chose this spot because it's nice, it's peaceful. There's a nice breeze going here, and it's safe. I'm going to film what's going on in my view and give some insight into my own personal disposition towards what is known as gang stalking and outlets concerning remedying gang stalking. So, in my previous videos, I've gotten into quite a bit of what gang stalking is, what it is known as, how it originated, where it comes from, what its goals are, and things like that. But what I haven't really gotten into is remedies for gang stalking. Now, how does somebody get put into gang stalking? At what point does a person find themselves being serially tracked, harassed, and annoyed by complete and total strangers, including public servants such as police officers, firefighters, EMS workers, public works employees, sewer, construction, beach patrol? Because mind you, beaches are municipal assets, and I am in Florida. South Florida at that, where it's basically an island. I mean, there's beaches pretty much everywhere you go. It resembles an island. It's not an island, but it resembles one in terms of its climate and the abundance of beaches here. And mind you, most beaches, not all beaches, but most beaches are public assets. So the people that tend to the beaches, the people that clean it, the people that patrol it, the people that monitor it are, in many cases, public employees. They gang stalk. And furthermore, a person at some point asks themselves, well, what did this person do? Well, for one, now I've asserted in the past that this is a governmental institution, what's known as gang stalking. Now, the true nature of it is difficult to know. That's something that remains to be seen. All a person can really do is read up on it online and experience it and document it for themselves and come to their own conclusions, because nobody knows the fullness of it but the people at the top of it that are implementing it. It feels kind of like a highly efficient, highly organized, highly mobile, highly communicative surveillance mechanism. But it's not just cameras, because all a camera can really do is sit on the side of a building or sit in someone's hand. Cameras are not as mobile as people are. Now, cameras are everywhere. I mean, you can't go anywhere in this country without encountering a camera. I mean, that's a good thing. I like that that model of security, of national security. Having cameras pretty much everywhere, because at that point it makes it difficult for people to lie about things. You can't lie about committing a crime or doing some other heinous act to another person when you're caught on camera doing it. So that's what cameras do for me, is they eliminate a person's capacity to lie about doing harmful things to other people. So whether they're government-owned cameras, like for example, there are no doubt cameras present there at the Metropolitan Dade County Fire Station. There are no doubt cameras there at the Aventura Library. Those are publicly supplied cameras. Then to my left here, there's a Wells Fargo bank that has cameras on all sides of it. Those are privately supplied cameras. So whether they're publicly supplied, which is supplied by the government, or privately supplied by corporations, surveillance is everywhere. And it makes people very safe. And that's the audacity of gang stalking, is that it operates in spite of. It operates in spite of the U.S. Constitution, and it is constitutional in that it restricts your ability to live life and to enjoy liberty and to pursue happiness. That is what the Constitution guarantees for all people. It operates in spite of laws. It operates in spite of government. it operates in spite of law enforcers, which in many cases themselves exhibit gang stalking actions. It operates in spite of a person's desires not to be stalked. You see. Now, in previous videos, I have uploaded live, raw, uncut videos of me walking from point A to point B and encountering gang stalkers as I go along. In a situation like this, where I'm just sitting here, you would think, okay, how is he being gang stalked? Who's tracking him? Is he wanted for any crimes? What's going on? Why would anybody be looking at him? And who are these people? Are they undercover cops? Are they security people? Are they just nosy individuals just driving in circles? Are they volunteer police? Are they volunteer sheriff's deputies? Are they military personnel? Or who are these people that you would allegedly encounter, or who you actually encounter? Because, you know, I've got that stuff on film. It's difficult to know. And quite frankly, I don't care who they are. I want to know who's orchestrating the thing. I'm not worried about the players. I'm not worried about the pawns. I'm not worried about the people who are just carrying out orders. I'm not worried about the Nazi soldiers going around very arrogantly pestering people because they were told it was okay. I'm going after Adolf Hitler himself. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not gonna waste my time trying to figure out the qualities and motivations of low-level demons. I'm going after Satan. I want to know who's orchestrating this, who they get their power from, why they're able to act in such covert manners, what their real motivations are, and how to expose them for the lying, cheating, cowardly pigs that they are. That's what I want to do. And I'll tell you something. One thing that I've read about gang stalking, and I'm going to check the time on my phone real quick. Okay, I got about another 13 minutes before I'm out of storage capacity. So, it's not beneficial to waste time with this thing. You have to go for the jugular. Otherwise, you will find yourself overwhelmed by what you see and what you hear and what you experience with gang stalking. Now, I've had quite a bit of street theater played out for me in gang stalking. Street theater is basically when gang stalkers act out moments of your life in front of you. And sometimes these gang stalkers relay messages to you from other people. And it's not that other people are telling gang stalkers, these street level gang stalkers, to relay a message to him. They are acting out what people are saying about you. Do you understand? Now, I know that for a person that has never experienced this for themselves, it sounds ludicrous, and that's the point. The point is to stalk somebody into homelessness and eventually into an early grave, all the while making them look mentally unstable or just plain dumb. And one way you make a person mentally unstable in the eyes of other people is to make them assert things that defy logic. And psychiatrists are some of the worst gang stalkers you'll ever meet. Psychiatrists are gang stalkers incarnate, and they are in league with what I like to call professional gang stalkers. The police, sheriff's deputies, fire department workers, bus drivers, EMS ambulance drivers, basically the kind of public employees that you see on a daily basis. They advance gang stalking. And they use instances of gang stalking to advance their own careers and extort money out of people. That's something I'll get into a little bit later. But yes, gang stalking is responsible for a lot of car accidents that put extra money into the pockets of insurance companies, and it also gives police extra work to do and helps them advance their careers because they arrive on the scene, they take reports, they fill out forms, they obviously check for all kinds of contraband or weapons, etc. It sends people, gang stalking, it causes targeted individuals physical pain and trauma, which again escalates hospital visits, facilitates hospital visits. Again, that puts more money in the pockets of the doctors of these hospitals, as well as other elements related to hospitals. They facilitate mental breakdowns in people, which causes them to have to see psychiatrists and psychologists and things like that, which through the insurance mechanism puts money in the pockets of psychiatrists and psychologists. If the targeted individual acts out and commits a heinous crime, what does that do? It helps police officers because now they get to be heroic first responders to this crazy person that just flipped out and did A, B, or C. And if they do a good enough job, they make names for themselves on the force, and it can lead to promotions and other things like that. You see. So the gang stalking mechanism at its core is a way for hospitals, police officers, firefighters, public works people, etc., to get ahead at the expense of the targeted individual because of the constant pressure and stress that they're under because of the gang stalking, you see. Now I've slyly had people reference civil rights groups to me. Well, why don't you contact civil rights groups? Contact your local black church. Go to the black church. Talk to older black people about this. Maybe you should contact Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton. Maybe you should write Barack Obama a letter. Contact any black person that you can find about this. Professional black people. Black people that are older than you, that have been through more in life than you, and see what happens. Well, black people gang stalk too. And one of the unfortunate aspects of a black person like myself, especially a black male, that is from the Generation X, Generation Y, millennial generation of black males, is there's not really anybody we could talk to about anything. The Generation X, Y, and millennial black males are the ones that are getting murdered in the streets like animals. The ones that are getting thrown in prison to the tune of, I don't have the figure in front of me, but I know black males make up most of the prison population, which is strange considering that we as a demographic are only 7% of the United States population, but make up, it's some egregious number in terms of the actual prison population. So we're 7% of the American population, but it's some outrageous number of the prison population. I digress. The Generation X, Y, and millennial black males are targeted not only by non-blacks, but by baby boomer blacks. Now, I'm going to make this very plain and very clear. Baby boomer blacks try in many cases to diminish Generation X, Generation Y, and millennial blacks, particularly black males. And we've all heard the stereotypes. Now, these stereotypes that you hear aren't coming from white Americans. They're not coming from Asian Americans. They're not coming from Latino Americans. The stereotypes that are being heaped upon Generation X, Y, and millennial blacks are coming from baby boomer blacks. Baby boomer blacks get around whites, Latinos, Asians, Hispanics, anywhere they can, and they say stuff like this about Generation X, Y, and millennial blacks. They don't value nothing. They don't know their history. They listen to rap music. They cuss every other word. They're using the N-word. All they do is sit around and smoke weed. They don't value marriage. They don't value family. All they want to do is walk around with their pants hanging down and buy Michael Jordan tennis shoes and sit around and do nothing all day. They ain't graduating high school. They're illiterate. They don't know how to read. They can't drive worth of nothing. They riding around dirty. They don't know how to fight. All they want to do is shoot and kill each other. They're degenerates. They're dope heads. They ain't got no sense of home ownership or what it means to own nothing. They don't register to vote. They don't do this. They don't do that, etc., etc. They're having kids out of wedlock. They don't value God. They don't value church. They don't value the Bible. They don't value scriptures. All they want to do is play basketball. They see basketball as a way of succeeding. Either that or rap music. They don't value a hard day's work. They don't value their ancestors. They don't value black history. And the list goes on and on and on and on. It's baby boomer blacks that are saying that about Generation X, Generation Y, and millennial blacks, particularly black males. And it makes it very difficult for the younger generation of blacks, males in particular, to succeed. They don't really say stuff, they don't really have a ton to say about the black females. Because black households have unfortunately always been matriarchal. And there are government incentives given to black women who lay down with black men and have kids out of wedlock, etc., etc. Those are political issues that are talked about at length. But when your own demographic of people, the older ones, the ones that are supposed to be nourishing you and strengthening you and encouraging you, are saying stuff like that about you systematically, it hurts, because now police officers feel like, okay, these older blacks are saying that about these younger blacks, so if I do this to this young black guy, it's not like I'm going to get rushed by all these older blacks asking me why I treated this man this way. That's why a lot of police officers are so quick to physically harm young black males, is because they know that the older black people in this country ain't going to have their back. And I'm going to say this about baby boomer blacks too. I'm running out of time here on my phone, but baby boomer black people can't claim moral superiority to Generation X, Y, or millennials. Why? Because they are the most unhealthy demographic in the world. Baby boomer black people are number one in high cholesterol, obesity, sugar diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, and just being seriously overweight chronically. And a lot of baby boomer black people have this superiority complex, like, well, we go to church, we read the Bible, we come from that tradition. Well, the Bible speaks about overindulgence and doing things in moderation. Okay? If you are, every time you sit down to eat, you eat a small feast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, everything on the table is fried, and you do that for 30, 40, 50 years of your life, and every single time you walk down the street, you can't walk 10 steps without getting winded, you can't claim moral superiority over anybody. So think about that next time you you use your voice to denigrate or harm or say something bad about the younger generation of blacks in this country. Look at your diet. Get your diet under control before you go claiming the moral high ground on other people. Before you go and give that next police officer the go-ahead to harm that young black man, before you give those people that don't